Welcome back to my channel Celeb Buzz. Please share and subscribe and press the bell icon for new updates. He stood in the shadows, watching the man he'd known for more than half a century. The man who once roared like a lion, now barely a whisper. Geezer Butler, the quiet force behind Black Sabbath, could hardly believe what he was seeing. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, was fading before his eyes. It was the final rehearsal. The last time the four of them would ever stand together in the same room, instruments in hand, ready to summon the thunder that changed the world. But this time, the thunder was distant. The storm was passing. Geezer felt it in his bones. He remembers the way Ozzy shuffled into the studio, his steps slow, uncertain. The room fell silent. Even Tony Iommi, the eternal riff machine, looked away. Bill Ward, the heartbeat of Sabbath, clenched his drumsticks a little tighter. No one wanted to say it out loud, but they all saw it. Ozzy was frail, skin pale, his eyes tired. The wild energy that once electrified stadiums was now a flicker, barely holding on. Geezer tried to smile, to crack a joke, to lighten the mood. But Ozzy just nodded, his lips trembling, as he picked up the microphone, hands shaking. The first notes of War Pigs echoed through the room, but the voice that followed was softer, weaker. Still, it was Ozzy. Still, it was magic, as the song ended. Geezer caught Ozzy's eye. For a moment, they were young again, 4 kids from Birmingham, dreaming of something bigger. But the moment passed. Reality crept back in. The years, the battles, the scars, they were all there, written on Ozzy's face. The final concert was a blur of lights and sound. Fans screamed, cried, held up signs. They didn't know it would be the last time. Maybe Ozzy did. Maybe that's why he gave everything he had left. Every note, every word, every scream. Geezer watched from across the stage, his heart breaking with every song. He saw the pain in Ozzy's eyes, the struggle to keep going, but he also saw the fire. It's the same fire that started it all. After the show, backstage was quiet. No wild parties, no chaos, just 4 old friends, sitting together, remembering. The air was thick with memories, heavy with the weight of everything they'd been through. The laughter of decades past seemed to echo off the walls, but tonight it was replaced by a gentle, aching silence. Ozzy looked at Geezer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you, mate, for everything." The words hung in the air, fragile and final. Geezer wanted to say so much. He wanted to tell Ozzy how much he meant to him, how much the band meant, how the music had saved them all. But all he could do was nod, fighting back tears. Sometimes words just aren't enough. The others sat quietly, lost in their own thoughts. Tony Iommi, the architect of their sound, stared at his hands, remembering the riffs that had changed the world. Bill Ward, the heartbeat of Sabbath, tapped his fingers on his knee, as if searching for a rhythm that could bring back the past. They all knew this was the end, not just of a tour or a band, but of something much bigger. The end of an era. The end of a brotherhood forged in darkness and sound. Days later, the news broke. Ozzy Osbourne was gone. The world mourned. Headlines screamed the loss. Social media flooded with tributes. Fans lit candles, played Sabbath records, shared memories. Some remembered the first time they heard Paranoid on a scratchy radio. Others recalled seeing Ozzy on stage, wild and untamed, a force of nature. For millions, he was more than a rock star. He was a symbol of rebellion, of survival, of never giving up. But for Geezer, the loss was deeper. It was personal. It was the loss of a friend, a brother, a partner in crime. The man who had stood beside him through the highs and the lows, the chaos and the calm. The man who had made him laugh, made him think, made him believe. The man who, even in his frailty, had been larger than life. Geezer sits alone now, replaying. Those final moments, the laughter, the music, the silence. He remembers the first time they met, 2 kids from Birmingham with nothing but dreams and a love for music. He remembers the endless nights in smoky clubs, the long drives in battered vans, the feeling that anything was possible. He remembers the fights, the breakups, the reunions, the way they always found their way back to each other, no matter what. He wonders if they could have done more. If he could have said more, there was something he missed, some sign he didn't see. But some things are too heavy for words. Some losses are too deep for comfort. All that's left is the music and the memories. Black Sabbath was more than a band. It was a family, a force, a legend. And Ozzy was its heart. Even in his frailty, he was unstoppable. Even in his final days, he gave everything he had. Every note, every word, every scream. He poured his soul into the music, and the world felt it. Geezer remembers the last rehearsals. The way Ozzy's voice would fill the room, even when it was weak. The way he would smile after a song, as if he knew he was giving them a gift. The way the music lingered in the air, long after the last note had faded. The way Ozzy's voice echoed in the empty room, a haunting reminder of what once was. He carries it with him, every day. The sound of Ozzy's laughter, the look in his eyes when the music was just right. The feeling of standing on stage, side by side, facing the world together. A reminder of what was and what will never be again. Sometimes, late at night, Geezer picks up his bass and plays the old songs. He closes his eyes and listens for Ozzy's voice, hoping to hear it one more time. Sometimes, he thinks he does. Sometimes, he feels like Ozzy is still there, just out of sight, waiting for the next song to begin. The world will remember Ozzy Osbourne as the Prince of Darkness, the Wild Man of Rock, the voice of Black Sabbath. But Geezer will remember him as a friend, a brother, a man who loved deeply, laughed loudly, and lived without fear. A man who, even in his final days, refused to let go of the music. The legacy of Black Sabbath lives on. In every riff, every lyric, every fan who ever felt the power of their sound. For Geezer, the legacy is something quieter, something more personal. It's the memory of a life shared, a journey taken together, a bond that can never be broken. He knows that somewhere Ozzy is smiling. Maybe he's singing. Maybe he's laughing. Maybe he's waiting for the rest of the band to join him, to play one more song. Till then, Geezer will keep the flame alive. He will remember. He will play. He will honor the man who was his friend, his brother, his heart. But the world outside moves on, as it always does. Headlines fade, tributes are replaced by new stories. But for Geezer, time stands still in those quiet moments. He finds himself wandering through old memories, each one sharper than the last. It's the first time they played together in a cramped, smoky club. It's the nervous excitement before their first big show. The wild, reckless nights on the road. When the future seemed endless and the music was all that mattered, he remembers the way Ozzy would light up a room, his energy infectious, his laughter echoing off the walls. Even in the darkest times, Ozzy found a way to make them laugh, to remind them why they started this journey in the first place. There was a magic in those moments, a sense of brotherhood that nothing could break. Geezer thinks about the songs they wrote together. The lyrics that poured out of him, the riffs that Tony conjured, the beats that Bill hammered out, and the voice Ozzy's voice that brought it all to life. Each song was a piece of their story, a chapter in a book that would never truly end. And now, with Ozzy gone, those songs feel different, heavier, more precious. Sometimes, Geezer visits the old haunts. The pubs where they used to hang out, the studios where they spent countless hours chasing the perfect sound. He sits quietly, listening to the echoes of the past, can almost hear Ozzy's voice, see his smile, feel his presence. It's comforting. It's heartbreaking all at once. He thinks about the fans too. It's the millions of people whose lives were touched by their music. The letters, the tattoos, the tears at every show. Black Sabbath was more than just a band. It was a lifeline for so many. And Ozzy was at the center of it all, a beacon for the lost and the broken, symbol of hope and defiance. Geezer knows that Ozzy's legacy will live on, not just in the music, but in the hearts of everyone who ever felt understood by a Sabbath song. He sees it in the faces of the fans, young and old, who still come to the shows, still sing the words, still believe in the power of the music. It's a legacy that can't be measured, can't be contained. It's alive, and it always will be. But for Geezer, the loss is still raw. Kay misses the late-night phone calls, the inside jokes, the way Ozzy could make even the worst day seem a little brighter. He misses the feeling of being part of something bigger than himself, of standing on stage with his brothers, facing the world together. He misses his friend. He finds solace in the music, in the familiar weight of his bass, the way the notes vibrate through his fingers, the way the songs come alive even after all these years. He plays for Ozzy now, for the memories, for the love they shared. He plays to keep the flame burning, to honor the man who gave him everything. Sometimes he dreams of one last show. The lights dim, the crowd roars, and there they are, Ozzy, Tony, Bill, and Geezer, together again, if only for a moment. The music swells, the world fades away, and for a brief, shining instant, everything is as it should be. He wakes with tears in his eyes, grateful for the dream, aching for the reality. He knows that life goes on, that new bands will rise, new legends will be born. But there will never be another Ozzy, never another voice like his, another spirit so wild and free. Geezer is proud to have been part of that story, proud to have called Ozzy his friend. He hopes that wherever Ozzy is, he knows how much he was loved, not just by the fans, but by the people who knew him best, the ones who saw him at his lowest, who stood by him through it all, the ones who will never forget. So Geezer carries on. He plays the old songs, tells the old stories, keeps the memory alive. He knows that's what Ozzy would have wanted, to keep the music playing, to keep the fire burning, to never let go. If this story moved you, if you felt the weight of those final notes, please like this video. Subscribe to Celeboo's for more untold stories from the legends you love. And share your memories of Ozzy in the comments below. Let's keep his spirit alive, together.